Neuro Nugget. It is Friday. Welcome to the channel. Welcome, family. Welcome to the chat. If you're in here, make sure that you are liking, subscribing, and signing up for notifications because a lot of you guys have not been getting my notifications and you don't want to miss out. This case is not over. I know that it seems like it's over, but it's not over. Trust me. We still have to wait for the gag order to be lifted. Gag order revelations that are going to be taking place. This case has been gagged from the beginning. It's extremely odd. So many attorneys have reached out to me. So many lawyers have reached out to me, including criminal lawyers, and they've said that they've never in their 20, 30, 40 years have seen a case that has been so gagged as this one, right? Now, I will eventually get to the chat to talk to you guys, but welcome, guys. It is Friday, and I know you saw the title, so here we are. Now, was the Idaho college murder case really what we were told? Were we told the right thing? Was it something much deeper, darker, or potentially even orchestrated from inside the system itself? Now, today we're going to be driving into this chilling theory that a lot of us have proposed. Was Mr. Kohberger a potential federal agent? And although we did briefly touch on this in yesterday's live, I want to go more in depth because we know that in the early morning hours of November 13, 2022, going on almost 3 years, 4 beautiful university students were brutally unalived on their off-campus home. We've all heard 1122 King Road, and the suspect, the accused, is Brian Kohberger, a criminology PhD student from WSU, right? Washington State University, just 10 miles away from the home. Now, we know that he drove a white Hyundai Elantra, and he also studied serial killers, right? He had the means and allegedly the motive and the DNA. Case closed, right? Easy, right? Not so fast, right? There's lots and lots of red flags and missing links. So we're going to break down the inconsistencies in this video one by one. A lot of these inconsistencies just don't sit right with a lot of us here, especially if we are supposed to believe that Mr. Kohberger was some sort of lone psycho, right? Now, we know Mr. Kohberger, to this day, the state or Kohberger actually have not given us a clear motive. There has been no murder weapon found, and there is surveillance footage, but there's actually no images of Mr. Kohberger committing the crime. And his phone was conveniently not connecting to the towers during the crime, right? So is this suspicious or is this a trained OPSEC? But here is where it gets weird, right? The federal connection theory. And Kohberger was not just a student, people, right? Yes, he did study criminal behavior. He specialized in forensics, and he also conducted surveys on how murderers think, right? He also, and a lot of people have forgotten this, actually happened to intern with a local police department and had the full background of somebody being groomed, not necessarily to prevent crime, but potentially to infiltrate it. Now, what if Brian Kohberger was not a murderer, but was an undercover asset, right? A controlled actor sent in by federal agencies to study a perfect crime. Or worse, what if he was used as a fall guy in an elaborate experiment in some sort of social engineering, media control, and public fear? Now, there is so much buried evidence that was not allowed by Judge Hippler to be added to this case. We know that he said, we do not want to allow all of the other DNA that was found at the crime scene, and we know that to this day the gag order is still in place, although he has already pled guilty, right? So why is it that the gag order on this case has been so freaking aggressive? Why are we not allowed to know key elements of the affidavit? And why was the investigation so freaking quiet, despite the fact that there was national, actually global attention to this case, right? So some theorists point out to the possibility that maybe Mr. Kohberger could be part of a classified behavioral study And as somebody who has a master's degree in psychology myself, and a lot of you guys have backgrounds in psychology as well, you understand how these classified behavioral studies happen, right? Or even a failed FBI psychological profiling program, which is a thing, right? Now, if true, admitting this would open up the government to liability, scandal, and nationwide outrage. And if you think that's too far-fetched, you have to remember in the 70s, the CIA ran Project MK Ultra. I have talked about this in several separate videos. And this project, MK Ultra, they basically dosed US citizens with LSD. That's right, regular people that were walking out and about in the world, in our country. And they dosed them with LSD without consent, right? So it just makes you wonder, like, what makes us think that the government isn't still experimenting? And maybe they're just smarter about hiding it, right? Now, there's also the missing digital trail portion. For somebody who was raised on the internet, with the internet, we know Mr. Kohberger is 30 years old now. Kohberger left shockingly little digital footprint, which is extremely difficult to do in this day and age. If he is supposedly the one that actually committed this crime. Now, his social media was nearly non-existent. A lot of people have also sent me on Instagram a lot of Instagram accounts that allegedly belong to Bryan Kohberger, but we know that those did not belong to Bryan Kohberger. He had one Instagram account and there was very little on there, right? His personal life, when we dig deeper, it's basically a black hole. There's not much to know about him. And yet, somehow, the FBI just happened to be tracking his car and his phone pings within days of the crime. Like, did they know where to look? Because they were potentially already monitoring one of their own? Now, here's what insiders have whispered, right? That Kohberger allegedly had been in contact with federal agents that were in the area long before the IDAHO4. And also that his surveys on Reddit, which we have all seen, were part of a sanctioned behavioral analysis project. And that his enrollment in criminal justice programs was encouraged by unseen handlers. And the most damning, that his arrest was a controlled narrative, not a true takedown. But of course, none of this has been officially confirmed, right? So here we are challenging the official story because that is what we do here. So let me know, do you think that Mr. Bryan Kohberger was a rogue student, a calculating criminal, or was he something else entirely? A puppet in a bigger, more disturbing game? One thing's for sure, right? When you start questioning things about this case, the answers do not add up. And the deeper you dig, the darker it gets. And when I have talked about those darker things, those videos get taken down. Those videos get censored. I had to, in the early days, almost 3 years ago, make a Patreon account, which was also taken down very quickly within the first couple of days of me posting on there, right? So don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell because we're going to be digging into this a lot deeper. That being said, we have to, at some point, stop talking about this case. I will be talking about this case again, about Kohberger, about Idaho, on July 22nd, which is when the gag order is supposed to be lifted. Because when we do that, we are going to have freedom to get put in FOIA requests, which hopefully will give us information that we have all been yearning for. I want to get my hands on the autopsy reports, which the coroner, lawyer, nurse, coroner Maybit told us it doesn't matter, but we know that the autopsy reports are one of the most important things. Of course, I know that we won't be able to have access to maybe some of the crime scene pictures. They usually keep those to themselves, but it's going to get very interesting because once that gag order is lifted, we can really delve deep into this case because, again, so much of this information has been left behind, right? So yes, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be diving into this potential suspicious FBI connections that were hiding in plain sight. There have been some legal documents that mention a couple of FBI agents, and maybe you recall the name Agent Balance. He is a very shady individual, so it's important that you stay sharp, stay skeptical, and stay safe. That being said, let me know. Please vote in the chat. Please vote in the comments. If you think that this is too far-fetched of a theory, leave a 1. If you think that there's room for this being true, please leave a 2. And as promised, I will be uploading a little bit later. Give me some time to gather my documents, gather my information, and we are going to be digging into one of the country's most disturbing cases, right there on par with the Idaho 4, and that is the case of Noah Presgrove. So we will be talking about that in the next live, hopefully today if we have time. That being said, I want to chat with you guys here on the live if you guys have any questions. And I also want to remind everybody, please, 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 I beg you, I never ask you guys for money, although I do appreciate the super chats, I do appreciate the cash apps. I want you guys to go find me on my Instagram. It is always in the description of every video. Why? Because at this rate of censorship, it is important that you guys know where to find me in case you ever want to reach out. And I am always going to be available on Instagram, right? I don't have an email attached to this channel at this time. So for people who are wanting to share information, you can do so on my Instagram. So who's in here and what are you drinking? I have water today. Hello, Ufi. Hi, Hoppers. Hello, Dawn. Ufi, Gag Order Revelation sounds like a dope movie name, right? Watch Amazon or Peacock steal it from me. Hi, Big Plants Little City. Hello, Susie QZ. Hello, Stacia. Stasia? That's pretty name. Isabel, hello. At last, welcome to your first live, babe. Maybe your first live. Hello, Patty. Hi, Jane. Hey, Robert, how's it going? Happy Friday, guys. It's a crazy weekend. This is going to be a crazy weekend. I honestly have so many other cases that I've been wanting to talk about. You guys know I'm probably slightly on the spectrum and most definitely ADD. So I like to hyper focus and place all my energy into one case at a time. And I did it with this case. But we have to talk about something else, right? Hello, Eric. Well, this case was a roller coaster of emotions. If he did it, I wonder why he spared Dylan and said if he was there to help, right? But we still don't know if he did or did not do it. That's what's interesting to me. Why is he tan and groomed? I'm not sure. Somebody mentioned yesterday that he was tan and groomed because they supposedly get some time to get sunshine in jail. I don't know if I believe that because, again, he's supposed to be alone in jail. Hello, Dina. He still has to provide details in order to be able to get the deal, hence know where the knife is. Oofy, bro, I haven't gotten laid in 10 years. I'm not slaughtering anyone. If guilty, the only possibility I see with no connection to the students is a hitman. Patty says the yard I walked in at jail, no sun. Interesting. Isabel says, I've been stimming all day. Are we all neurodivergent in here? I feel like, because I'm neurodivergent, I feel like my channel attracts a lot of people who are neurodivergent, although we do love everybody. We love and accept neurotypicals as well, right? Yeah, it's Friday again. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Patty says anything is possible, but one thing for sure, the murders did not happen during the 4 o'clock hour and there was a cover-up. And again, I agree with that. Whoever committed this crime, it is my opinion that the crime was much earlier than we are led to believe, especially because now we understand that there was an alleged cleanup. And we're supposed to believe that Mr. Kohberger whipped out these magical ninja skills out of nowhere. This guy has been diagnosed with dexterity issues, and he unalived 4 people. Some he had to fight off. We have heard of Xana's severed fingers. We have heard of Maddie Mogan having DNA under the nails, probably from fighting. That's my opinion. And he took all 4 of them out, right? In 4 minutes, because remember the timeline shifted, right? Now they're saying 4 minutes. He took all of them out in 4 minutes and also happened to clean up, right? Because we have the latent footprint. John, hello, welcome, John. Thank you so much for the $10. In this economy, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I microdose. Oh, I don't take any medications. I'm not judging, I'm just saying. I really appreciate the $10, John. Thank you. Dina says, I don't think we can rule out a cop or 2 either. It's like, let me help you. Yeah, who says that? Who says that? Cheryl says Brian was an exceptional, gifted student. He could very possibly have been chosen to be a federal agent. And again, I know a lot of people think this is far-fetched, but when you look into, for example, if you go to CIA.gov, you will see all of the operations that the CIA did on civilians, right? Now that they've been exposed, they've been declassified, all of these documents. This happens all the time. The government experiments on civilians all of the time. So it's not that far-fetched. And what's crazy to me is that people think this is far-fetched. But again, I'm coming at this from a military background and a psychology background. So not everybody has a military background. Not everybody has a psychology background. But again, all you have to do is go to CIA.gov, pull up the declassified documents and all the experiments that the government has done on US citizens. And you're going to be like, oh my goodness, this is maybe not that far-fetched, right? So thank you guys for joining me in today's live. Remember, stay tuned because I'm praying that a little bit later I can talk about Noah Presgrove. Again, I like to normally focus on one case at a time, especially with the IDAHO4, because there were so many legal documents that we had to go through. And with my hyper-focus ADD, I have to like read every document. Going forward, I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it, but we definitely have to talk about Noah Presgrove. It is a very disturbing case involving college students, young people, and it's horrific what the parents are having to go through. None of it makes sense. And now 2.5 years later, the parents of Noah Presgrove are suing the local police department, right? So we'll get right into that. And I hope to see you guys soon in the next live. Take care, guys.